Kentucky Spin. Our 4 core values: respect, education, dignity, empowerment. Established 1988, Kentucky Spin is a parent training and information center in Kentucky.
Yes, my name is Kelly Smith. I am the Assistant Director at Kentucky Spin, and we are so happy that you have joined us today to talk about money management. Real-time closed captions are available here in this Zoom session. You can click on the closed caption button and select Show Subtitles to view those captions. There is also a link if you would like to view that in a different web browser that is added to the chat box. So a little bit about Kentucky Spin. Nick, if you would like to move on to the next slide, please. Is that, just in case it's your first time with us, Kentucky Spin is funded by the U.S. Department of Education under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And we are the Parent Training and Information Center for the state of Kentucky and have been since 1988. What that means is that we provide families and professionals and individuals with disabilities training and other information and connect them with community resources so that they can become effective advocates and self-advocates for those that they represent. We also work with children, young children and youth. We work with individuals birth through 26. It's easier to tell you what we don't do than what we actually do because training and information is such a huge wheelhouse. So what we don't do is we do not act as advocates, meaning we do not represent families. We do not act as attorneys or give legal advice. But what we do is we empower and equip individuals to become effective advocates for themselves, for their children, and for their clients. And we do all of that through a peer support model, as we are all either individuals with disabilities and or parents or siblings to someone with a disability. So we hope that the information that you receive today will be very useful to you. But before we get started, we're going to just go over a little bit of housekeeping. So please give us grace. As we know, technology comes with its own issues, and we all work from home in addition to that. So we have families and we have pets, and we have all the other things that come along with work from home positions. So again, we do ask that you give us grace. If you are experiencing any difficulties, or if you do at any time throughout this session, just reach out via chat and we will do our best to help you alleviate those issues. Let's see, on your Zoom dashboard, you should see a question and answers box and a chat box. You can enter questions that you have or comments in either, and we'll have time set aside at the end to address those. In the chat box, there is also a link to today's presentation, and any handouts that we're going to discuss will also be included. The links to those will be included in that chat box. If you do not have time to get to those, or you can't download those where you are right now, no worries. A follow-up email will be sent to you by the end of the week with today's presentation and all the resources that we discussed. Just some reminders, as we go throughout this presentation, please share from your own experiences, not the experiences of others. And remember that, as I said before, Kentucky Spin staff are either individuals with disabilities or immediate family members of someone with a disability. So we have that unique understanding that other organizations may not have of what you, your loved one, your student, or your clients currently live with. So at this time, I'm going to hand things over to our speakers, Nick Carpenter and Davis Rodriguez, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about who they are. So Nick, you can take it away.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick Carpenter, the youth educator with Kentucky Spin. I am a 26-year-old, somewhere around there, 26-year-old young adult with autism. I got an autism diagnosis at the age of 4, and I have been a strong advocate for myself for several years. And for like the past decade or so, I have used my own experiences growing up with this disability and been sharing those experiences to help empower youth to be able to better advocate for themselves, um, to help them live better, fulfilling lives. And in my role as a youth educator, I help young adults, those that are about to leave high school, go into adult life. I help share them my experiences and help give them the resources and the skills that they need to live productive adult lives.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Davis Rodriguez. I am 34 years old, father of 4. My oldest 2 are twin girls who have RSS, Reversal Syndrome, Reformed Dwarfism, autism, ADHD, and myself. I have ADHD and OCD, and I've been advocating for my children since pretty much 3 months old and to present. I help serve my community by mentoring to the youth through the church. And yes, thank you for coming.
All right, let's get right on in there. How to manage your money. So, yeah, money management. And again, as Kelly said earlier, if you have any questions or anything at any point, do feel free to put them in the chat and we will address them as soon as we are able to. We have a lot to go over today and a short amount of time, but as usual, for those who have been to our Transition Tuesdays in the past, and for those who this is maybe your first time going to one, we'll just kind of go over. This is a very surface level explanation of things. We don't quite have the time because we want to be respectful of your time, and that most of the time we have students in school joining us, so they don't have a lot of time to go into a full presentation. So this is very surface level stuff. To go over things you should be thinking about and things to kind of just be prepared to dig in deeper potentially on your own. But today we're going to go over types of income, what they mean, and what all those weird words are, how to read a check stub, what all the weird things on the check stub mean, to know what those all are, places to keep your money, advice on how to budget, and how to save money for the future. So some words these are just some different things we're going to go over briefly today. So we'll be talking about income, gross pay, net pay, banks, credit unions, direct deposit, ATMs, debit cards, accounts, and budgeting. So it's just some things that we'll be going into a bit more detail and kind of what the presentation is going to cover. So first we have income. Which income, if you don't know, income is just whatever, if you are receiving any, we have a question. So income is essentially, it's just if you're receiving any kind of money from anywhere, it's not necessarily just a job. It's just if you have any kind of steady source of money that you are receiving that is yours, that's income. So there's a lot of different factors that can affect how you get paid or receive money. It's different for everyone. But generally it's you receive money if you work at a job, that's your income. Some people need help managing their income, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we're going to talk about a few different types of income and how to manage that money. Although we do also have a question here, Davis. I don't know if you want to tackle this or you want me to tackle this.
Yeah, I can go and tackle this. It says, have you ever had to ask help managing your money? Personally, yes. When I was younger and first, getting out of high school and graduating and trying to navigate the world, I didn't know how to really manage money. I just went to work and what was there, I just kind of went through. So I had my mom help me sit down and make out a budget so I could spread my money out between my paychecks between when I graduated to when I went to trade college.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some different types of income. First, we do have a short video clip to go through.
I got paid today.
All right. So again, first, most common type of income is income from working, money that you receive on a regular basis from a job. This could be a more formal type of work, like doing a regular, like once you're an adult, doing like a regular 9 to 5 job, or doing like a part-time job if you go and you work somewhere after school, like a few days a week. Um, or it could also be something more informal, like if you do babysitting, or if you go around on the weekends and mow people's lawns. Um, those are just some different basic examples of work income, money you get from doing some kind of job or task, whether it's formal or informal. And we have income from disability benefits, which is just money that is available from the government for eligible people with disabilities. Um, like if like I know a lot of people, like my mom especially, she gets disability payments. Even though she does work a little bit of part-time, due to her own disability, she gets disability payments every month. So that's another form of income. And income from survivor benefits. Income from survivor benefits is money paid to eligible survivors of someone that's worked and paid into Social Security. And we have income from gifts, which is just money that you receive without having to repay it. So that's just, someone just gives you that's just if someone gives you money, that's gift income. Um, like it's a gift card or your birthday, and someone gives you like some money, and that's just gift income. All right, check stubs. So I know we're in a modern age of technology and direct deposit and all that, but check stubs. Um, typically, if you have income from work, if you have a job, you will receive a check stub. Usually, especially with being a modern age again, usually receive these online through the company, but some people still do get paper check stubs. I know before I worked for Kentucky Spin, the place that I worked at a hotel, and they still did check stubs. They did direct deposit, but you still got a check stub every 2 weeks to kind of just show a breakdown of how much money you made and all the other things that we'll get into here in a little bit. Um, so, but yeah, so some people still do get paper check stubs, but mostly with it being a modern age, most people just do all their check stuff digitally. But we are going to, in the next few slides, we're going to look at a check stub and kind of go over the different parts, what they mean, the terminology, and all that. But first, we do have a little video of our friend Ian, a little skit that he put together of a check stub.
What is that?
This is a paycheck stub. But like, I don't understand gross pay and net pay. Like, what is that?
Gross pay is all $4.
Okay.
Net pay is the one you keep after I take 3.
Okay. Wait. Come back, Mama. Come back, Mama.
All right.
Also, yeah, real quick, Nick. Also, while I'm thinking about it, direct deposit is great. Check stubs are very important. They also are used for applying for assistance. They're applying for housing, and they're used to, if you're going to get an auto loan or home loans like that, you also good to have them. I like to print mine out and keep them in a folder and filed. So I just have them on hand if I needed to turn them in for something. Just what I'm thinking about when I mentioned that, also check stubs, and they're not just a piece of paper and give you a breakdown of your stuff. They're actually hold some value outside of just for you.
right. Well, yeah, Davis, I don't know if you want to go into this part about check stubs or not, or I can.
Oh yeah, I can definitely go ahead and break this check stub down. Um, so right up here, you can see it says the company's name a lot of times up, and this is what a check stub actually looks like overall. We're going to talk about each piece here. Up there in the corner where the arrow is, that's where the company you work for. You'll say McDonald's or Sonic or KFC or Tractor Supply. That will actually be the official name of the company that is issuing your check. And then their address where they're located, and there's it. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Right here's your name. Then it will be your social security number, which will look like that. It will be all either dotted out or X'd out with just your last four, the check number that they've written it off from, and then the pay period that you worked that you're getting paid for, and then the date it was issued. Yep, check number. Okay, here you go. Here's your income of what you made, either your salary or weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Just depends on your current situation with your employer. I think most employers do every other week or bi-weekly. Go ahead, next slide, Nick, for me, please.
But I'll add too, because I know we just showed that little skit and it said about the difference between gross pay and net pay. Um, this is what shows like your gross earnings, which is based essentially it's gross pay is how much money that you make before they take all the taxes and like insurance and all that stuff out. Gross pay is like basically the total amount that you worked before it gets all the taxes. It gets taxed and etc. And then of course, yeah, we have the deductions, which is broken down by the individual
Yep.
taxes you're being taxed for, etc.
Must pay your taxes. I strongly recommend it. And here's a breakdown of just like um it gives you your current total that you paid for that pay period, then the year to date is what you paid total so far from the beginning of the new year, January 1 to what the current date is of your pay period. And then down here is your net pay, and that's what you bring home after you pay all your taxes. Like Nick was just saying, that is the
Yeah,
difference between gross pay and net pay.
like how in the skit to explain if you didn't understand, I know it was a really fast skit. But
Yeah.
basically in that situation, the gross pay was $4, which was how much money was on the paycheck. Was the gross pay. But the $3 that was taken out, that was the taxes and insurance, etc. So the $1 that was Ian's net pay in that video. That's how much he actually got to keep after the fact, which typically taxes don't take that much out of the paycheck. But that's essentially what that is. And this section just shows your gross pay deductions and your net pay for the entire year, just how much money you've made, how much been taken out, etc. So now here, let's see, Q&A. Okay, so we have another question here is what should I do if I think my paycheck is incorrect? I can go with this, and Davis might have more input on this than me, but I will say, generally the easiest solution if you get your paycheck emailed, or if you have like a site that you check your work earnings and that kind of stuff on, and you notice that something is off about it, you should this is really easy. Just contact your employer, contact your boss, or whoever's directly above you at your work. Explain to them, show them the stub if you can, and kind of explain to them, say like, hey, like what's going on? Like, what's the issue with this? I actually, very recently, my paycheck I had an incorrect paycheck, just because of weird technical stuff that's going on in the background. I went on vacation at the beginning of the month. At the day I got paid, I left leaving for vacation, and I noticed that when I checked my bank account, that didn't get paid as much as I usually do, because I have like a budget, and I typically I have like an average of how much I expect to get paid every 2 weeks, and I noticed that my pay was off. And all I did was I just called my boss. I called Kelly, and I was like, "Hey Kelly, what's wrong? Like, why is my paycheck not right?" And then me and her went and we figured out what was wrong, and we got it resolved. Typically, it's not a big deal. It's just something that you can just kind of get taken care of really easily. Just contact your boss. They might have you contact accounting if you have an accountant. It's really just that easy. Just let someone know that something's wrong, and then usually it's not that hard to figure out what the issue is and then fix it.
And I don't recommend waiting.
Mm.
You notice, I do recommend checking your paycheck and your, what's been deposited and stuff, regularly when it happens. I also would recommend that that you check if it is wrong. We'll say on the opposite direction, you got paid too much. Honesty is always the best way foot forward, because sooner or later someone's gonna catch it, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, we got to, you gotta pay this back or fix something out." So you could always just be honest with your employer about the situation and see if there's something that can be done with the mistakes.
All right. Now let's talk about banks. So where do I put my money? Where do I put my money after I get paid? Well, there's banks or credit unions are great places to keep your money. That's what they're there for. But if you do plan to manage your own finances when you get a job, there are a few things that you need to know about banks and credit unions, etc. So what is a bank? If you don't know what a bank is, it's a for-profit financial institution that accepts deposits, where the credit union is a non-profit financial institution that accepts deposits. So they're very similar, but that is the big difference, is that banks are for-profit, credit unions are for non-profit. All right. So we have a few things here about deposits. And I'll just kind of go over these terms here. So an account is a holding place where you can put money in and take money out. Basically, it's just something that just holds all your money. Like in a bank, just holds all your money, and you can typically go somewhere and you can see like what your balance is and how much money you have, and you can withdraw, balance your savings, your checking account, etc. A deposit is making a deposit, which simply is just adding money to your account. That's all it is. It's just going to the bank or going somewhere that can take money and putting it into your account. And an ATM, or an automated teller machine, is an electronic banking outlet that allows a customer to complete basic business actions without the assistance of a bank teller. Um, the basic use for an ATM is going to it and using it to withdraw money if you need physical cash for something. It's for withdrawing money, or also you can usually check your checkings and your savings account at an ATM as well. Thing to know about ATMs is,
Also,
well,
you can oh
no, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
also deposit your check. Say you get a paper check every week. You can also deposit your check from an ATM as well.
I didn't know that.
As long as the ATM is in branch. Let's clarify also.
Yeah.
There is ATM fees if you use one that is considered outside your network and it's not owned by your banking branch. So you could always check online and see which ATMs in your local area are in your banking branch. That way you don't get hit with fees, because your bank will actually charge you a fee, and so will the machine most
Yeah.
times.
Another thing about those two to add on is that because usually it's like maybe like a $3 fee to withdraw from an ATM that's not within your branch. Some banks, like I know my bank is this way, but my bank is also an independent, like private bank, independent, private, locally owned bank. Some banks do pay that back later. If you do withdraw money and you do have to pay that fee, some banks do pay that fee back. Will return that fee to you later. I know my bank does. I don't know if every bank does that, but it's something that's worth checking. If you do open up a bank account, is seeing if they have like an ATM fee payback thing. Because my bank does. And again, I don't know if every bank does, but mine does. So in direct deposit, direct deposit. I mentioned this earlier when we first started talking about paychecks. Direct deposit is just money when you get paid. It's just electronically deposited money. It's just like if you get paid on like Thursdays, then at like 5 o'clock in the morning, your bank account just has money in it. That's what direct deposit is. It's just you get paid. It's all just gets put into your bank account electronically. You don't need to get a paycheck stub. So I would still go get it just so you have a physical record, but it's just money getting deposited electronically into your account. And a debit card is a payment card that you can use whenever you use it, it just takes money straight out of your account. It's different from a credit card. Debit card just accesses the money that you actually have present in your account. And then, as Davis said, again, just here in the notes, you can add your paycheck to your bank account by, of course, depositing your check in person at the bank or credit union, as well as depositing the cash through the ATM if your bank offers your service. Not every bank has a service of letting you deposit your money through an ATM, but some banks do. Again, another thing to ask your bank when you open an account, if that is something that they provide, if that is a service that they have. Okay. If you do not have a bank or credit union, you may receive your income in the form of a prepaid debit card. A prepaid debit card works like a bank, and you or your employer can add money to it. You could then use the card like a traditional debit card, and you can spend up to the amount that was added to the card. This is something that I used to carry something like this around a lot before I really had a job. Like if I had to go somewhere like a Boy Scouting thing, I was really active in Boy Scouts when I was younger. If I was going somewhere like out of state or somewhere else as like part of a scouting trip, my parents would give me something like this, would give me like a prepaid debit card. Um, it's kind of like a gift card, not quite the same, but it's kind of works similarly. It's like just like a prepaid card that has X amount of money on it, and I would use these a lot if I was going out of town for something. Yeah, it is.
Yes, exactly what he was saying. For going out of town is very useful. If you travel at all, is very recommended. Recommending if you go out somewhere, say you're on vacation, you want to go walk around Myrtle Beach, but you don't want to take your whole wallet with you. You can just take your pre-debit card here. So if you do lose it, or something, you're not losing, for one, your banking information to a stranger potentially, and all your money that you may have still saved on your main account. Um, and the big difference between a prepaid debit card and a gift card, they're reusable and reloaded through um, most like Walmart's from their counter and cash registers, and your employer will have its own routing number, like a bank account. Gift cards do not. A lot of times they're just one-time use gift cards.
Hmm.
If you do get a multi-use one, a lot of times you can only deposit money from the people who issued it, like Walmart, to that gift card, and then use it just at that establishment. These you can use anywhere.
And something I just remember while Dave was talking that I know isn't covered in his presentation. Because we talked about vacation and going out of town. If you go on vacation and you're leaving your state, like if you're going to like Florida or Michigan or New York or something like that, tell your bank, let your bank know that you're going out of state. Most banks, you can just go onto the website and you can put in like, I'm leaving on this day, I'm going here, and I'll be back on this day. And the reason you want to do that is because if you like go to New York and you start buying things, your bank monitors your transaction activity. And if they see that someone's using your card in New York, typically their first assumption they're going to make is that someone stole your card and ran away to New York with it. That's going to be
You're gonna lock
their
it.
first assumption, and they're going to lock your card and turn the card off. And then you're going to have to call them. If it's on a weekend, your bank probably won't be open. So you're going to have to not be able, you won't be able to buy anything all weekend, and you'll have to call them Monday and be like, hey, so if you're going out of state, tell your bank you're going out of state, and they will tell you if you need to like put anything in or submit anything, but let them know you're going on vacation out of state so you don't get your card locked while you're like 12 hours away from home. Okay. Check cashing services. Some people that don't have a credit union or bank account can cash their paychecks at a check cashing store. So the or Walmart is a business that offers check cashing services. Excuse me. If you don't have a bank, but you're getting like pay stubs and things like etc. Walmart can cash that for a fee. They do charge fees. Um, they charge fees. Sometimes it can be really expensive to cash your check at a place like Walmart or some other business. Uh, and that also has the issue if you don't have a bank and you use that service, that carries the issue of having to carry cash. Carrying cash is a safety issue, especially if you just have a bunch of money with you, you can easily lose all that money. And there is no way to get it back if you lose it or you misplace it. You can't just get that money back. So that is a safety issue to keep in mind. It's really important to, even if you don't have a bank, to have somewhere to put that money and not just carry it around with you everywhere you go. So Kentucky Spin has created some resources that we've put together to help you get started managing your money. These are just a couple of them. These are on our website, and also the PowerPoint itself. You can, if you open the PowerPoint, you can just, which I provided here in the chat, you can just click on the infograph. I'm not going to click and demonstrate because I don't want to mess everything up, but you can click the infograph and it will take you to where it is on our website. It will take you to a printable version. So here we have like some things on how to start a bank account and what you need to start a bank account. We have a few more that we'll show here in a little bit, but these are a couple of infographics that we have for money management. So the goal here is that if you plan to manage your own finances when you get a job, the goal is to try to spend less than your monthly income. And this is you do this by budgeting, and we'll talk about budgeting here. So what is a budget? A budget is basically telling you your money and what you're going to. A budget is telling your money what you're going to do with it instead of your money telling you what you can do. Um, so it's just budgeting is just a thing you kind of put it together. You plan out how much money you're going to make, how much money you're going to have, and kind of you keep track of like what bills you have to pay when you're paying bills, when you move out and you move into an apartment, or if you have to, or if you're helping your parents pay bills, etc. Budgeting is all keeping track of your expenses, how much you have to pay for bills, how much groceries cost, how much you have to pay for gas every month. Um, all that stuff. Budgeting is a great way to keep track of your money, and it can help you keep track of your money and help you save your money. Here's a few more resources that we have for budgeting. Oh, yes, Davis.
I'll just say that infographic there also is clickable and downloadable from the PowerPoint.
Oh, yes, this one. Yeah. All the infographics that you'll see, because we have a lot of resources that we've made on money management related to various money management topics. Every infographic in the PowerPoint is clickable. Once you download your own version, you can click on any of them and it will take you to a printable version as well as to our website. So here's just a couple of budget infographics. So we have a planning your budget one. I like this one, and also if you have watched or haven't watched, I did a youth talk on money management this month where I just kind of talked for a few minutes just about ways to manage your money. I talked about budgeting a lot in it, and there's this rule. I think my numbers are a little bit different, but there's a 75, 15, 10 rule, which is really important to think about when budgeting. It's how much money. So the 75 is how much of your paycheck, how much of your income goes to your necessities, like bills, food, etc. And the 15% is how much of your income should go to things that you want, like video games, books, recreational activities, all the fun stuff. And then the 10% is savings, how much of your income you want to be able to put into savings every month. I actually do go into that in a little bit of detail in the youth talk I did this month for money management. So I do recommend if you want to know more about budgeting, and just some personal experiences, I recommend you check that out. But again, these infographics are also clickable. They'll take you to the printable versions. There's also for budgeting, there is an app for that. There are several apps that you can check. A lot of them do require like a subscription. But there are a lot of free ones. We do have some resources that we put together that do go over some easy to use budget apps that also don't cost money. We do have those listed on our website. You can find on our money management area. But yeah, it's great to use an app if you're terrible and you can't keep track of things. I'm pretty good at keeping track of my finances. I don't use an app myself. I have a notebook where I just write my income and how much I pay for my bills and things like that. I have a notebook I use, but you might need an app, and there's various apps for that on the App Store and on Google Play that can help you manage your money. And then this here is a little thing that we like to talk about Kentucky Spin is pay yourself first. And what this means is when you get that biweekly or weekly paycheck or however often you get paid, we always recommend to pay yourself first, which all that means is just take a little bit of money out immediately, not too much, not a whole lot, but reward yourself. You just worked for 2 weeks, especially if you're an adult and you're working a 9 to 5 job. You just got paid after 2 weeks of working. It's been a hassle. Who knows what you've had to deal with. You just got your big paycheck. You deserve to be rewarded a little bit. Now, again, like I say, a little bit. Don't go spending like a couple $100s or something. But spend a little bit of money to go get dinner, or go buy a book, or go buy maybe a video game you've been thinking about for a while, or something
Put some
like
in
that.
savings. If you're all, say that, you don't want to spend it necessarily, but you still want to reward yourself. Take a little bit off top. I mean, $20 out of your paycheck and put it in savings and save up for something that you may want, later. Like a what I like to call my me money. I like to put some money in there, and then every couple of months I'll see what I have, and I'll maybe go out to dinner with my brother or something, and treat him. Just something I can do for him or he can do it for me. Sometimes he does, something like that.
Yeah. I used to be really bad about saving my money, but recently that's kind of what I've been doing is I've really about saving money every time I get paid, and that's like I don't know, it's a really, at least for me, it's a really nice like serotonin filled experience to be able to put money into a saving account. Every time I get paid and be like, man, I just have this money for later. I have a lot of money that I'll just be able to use later. So I don't have to worry about just being gone. It just feels good for me anyway. I don't know. You might feel the same way if you start doing savings. I don't know. But we do okay. We do have another question, Davis. If you could go back and learn one thing about managing your money, what would it be?
Um, Me personally, it would be how to properly structure a budget, um and fully like under, I guess, have it better explained to me. Because like, oh, this is what a budget is. It was kind of like a quick boom, here you go. And really just get more into it, like um properly structuring, like, if I get paid on the 15th, but if I have a bill, my next paycheck won't be, we'll say, to the first, but I have a bill that's due we'll say the 30th, the day before I get paid, but I want to be late, I have to take that out of the paycheck before and budget that out. Simple stuff like that was never really explained fully to me. Um, so when it was explained to me, it was like, if you do this, this, and this is the money you have left over. And bills don't all always come out exactly the same day. And that's the way it kind of was explained to me. You just got to be more aware of when your bills are coming out, and um, what time frame they need to be paid in. That way you're not paying extra if you're late, and what paycheck that actually has to come out of.
Yeah, everything that Davis just talked about with that question. Again, well, I mentioned a youth talk I did earlier. That is all I talk about. That whole youth talk is how to budget and how to like keep track of your different expenses. Like that's all I talk about. It's like a 7 or 8 minute long video, but at the whole time, that's all I talk about the whole time. It's like that proud of how to budget and how to like plan out your months for like paychecks and bills and all that stuff. Um, so if you want a bit more in-depthness about that and personal
Yeah,
experiences with that, I recommend you check it out.
yeah. I have two budgets technically. I have my monthly one, look like my overall what it is, and then I do want a smaller version, like just for each paycheck. That way I know, like, this is what I'm getting paid, and then in this pay period, these are the things that need to be taken care of with this money.
It's actually pretty good. I didn't think about doing it during the whole month and then doing it bi-weekly and having them separate. That's actually I didn't think about doing that. But yeah. So what am I saving for? So think about the things you want and need in life. You may want to you may want to try and like rent an apartment or rent a house in the future. And if so, you need to have money saved for like a down payment or um
Deposits.
deposit. Yeah. Deposit. I was
Yeah,
trying to think of the word. Like, what's the other word? Yeah,
yeah,
you might need to have
deposits.
money.
If you're
You'll need
renting,
money for a deposit on an apartment.
you know, maybe you
Um,
want to travel. You worked all year and you finally been there at your job long enough where you got vacation time. You always save, and maybe go see the Grand Canyon, or Mount Rushmore or something like that. Um, Budget out properly for your grocery shopping. Maybe you have a little extra. And you're like, you know what? I don't have to buy off-brand chips this week. I can buy name brand. Something little like that.
but yeah, like this some different thing to save for. Like you might want to you'll need to make a deposit on an apartment if you want to move out and move into an apartment. You'll need money for a deposit. If you want to travel, you'll want to have money saved to travel for even if you're gonna rent a car or if you're gonna drive a car. You're gonna need money for like a hotel or for an Airbnb or for like airplane travel. Like that's just a few different things that you want to save for. To keep in mind. Or it can also just be something as simple as bringing it back to gaming. If you want that new video game console, if you're trying to get a PS5, you want to save up for that. Just some smaller saving type stuff. And then this goes back to like paying yourself. Be sure to build a treat for yourself into your budget. It's hard work budgeting and just working and making a living, and you should have a reward. So make sure you build some kind of treat, some kind of reward into your budget. Um, but this reward, unlike paying yourself first at the beginning, this reward in your budget should come after the fact, after you've budgeted and you've planned out your your bills and you have your bills taken care of and your other expenses taken care of. This is a reward that you should get after your budget needs have been met. And then, like we said earlier, several factors can affect how you get paid, and it does look different for everyone. Some people do need help, may need a little help managing your money, and that's okay. So there's a lot of options out there to help. You might have a guardian. Guardianship is a legal tool that allows another person to make decisions for an adult, especially on monetary decisions. You may have a conservator. A conservator is a type of guardian that only manages a person's finances and money. I know back when I was fresh out of high school and I was working a job and I was terrible at saving money, I know that my mother, she wanted to get me to do a conservator because I was awful at saving my own money. We didn't do that, and I just got better at managing my funds. But that is a conservator. They just manage your finances and money, which is something that you might need. Supported decision making. This is something that we talk about in a lot of our Kentucky Spin presentations. Is supported decision making is the use of trusted friends, family members, and professionals to get the help you need to make your own decisions. It's just asking people you trust for advice and getting them to help you make good decisions. These people can help when evaluating a situation, weighing pros and cons, exploring the options, offering advice based on experience, and/or just explaining complicated documents or concepts. Like if you're trying to open a bank account and they give you this huge document and you're like, I don't even know where to start with this. Supported decision making. Have your dad or your mom or your friend who you know is really good with that kind of stuff, have them look at it with you and have them kind of help you navigate through those confusing bank documents. And even if you're still in high school and you might not have a job right now, you can still start practicing money management skills with the help of the resources in this presentation. And you might also want to consider, if you have an IEP, putting some financial goals into your IEP to make sure that you're learning to be able to manage your own money. So to sum it up, there's various different types of income. So everything we've gone over here is we talked about income. We've talked about how to read your check stub, finding a safe place to keep your money, and how to create and stick to a budget, how to create and stick to a budget, as well as being able to ask for help, which again, is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's better to ask for help and getting it done right the first time instead of trying to do it on your own when you're not sure if you can handle it, messing it up, and then trying to get help afterwards when it's already a mess. It's good to get help and get it done right the first time. Thank you. Visit www.kyspin.com.